Welcome to Franchise Marketing Radio, brought to you by SeoSamba. Comprehensive high-performing marketing solutions for mature and emerging franchise brands. To supercharge your franchise marketing, go to SeoSamba.com. That's SeoSamba.com.
Welcome, Jodi.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on Franchise Marketing Radio. It's good to have you. I'm really excited to hear your story and for you to share what's been going on with Teriyaki Madness and especially in light of what's been happening here in early 2020 with
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, as we jump in, one of the first things I wanted to ask was just how you got started, how the brand got started, and then maybe a little your personal story, how you got started with the brand.
Perfect. Yeah. Teriyaki Madness actually started back in 2003 in Las Vegas. So it was two brothers and a cousin who grew up in the Seattle area. I went to school up there actually. And Teriyaki's on like every corner in Seattle. It's everywhere. It's like Chicago hot dogs or New York pizza. So
yeah,
started their own and started one down in Las Vegas back in 2003. Our CEO got involved about 6 years ago, more on the kind of consulting basis, and bought the company about 4 years ago. So that's why we're out in Denver and our headquarters are here. But yeah, we serve huge bowls of fresh ingredients. Everything's made to order, customizable, real simple menu, and the food's delicious. That's far and above what our consumers have told us is that. The food is amazing, and then it also happens to be healthy. So tons of benefits, and we have just a real fun brand. We take our food seriously, but we don't take ourselves seriously.
Yeah, well, that is cool. And so, and your involvement with the brand, and when did you join the brand?
I joined Teriyaki Madness about 3.5 years ago. I've been in restaurants and franchising my whole career. I went to school at CU Boulder. My first job out of college was driving the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile around the country.
Oh my goodness, really?
Yeah, so pretty awesome. That was kind of my launch into the food industry. Yeah, so I met with Michael, our CEO, about 3.5 years ago, and he had the right product at the right time. People are loving the chicken and the fresh quality ingredients, Asian concepts. So really everything at the right time, right place, and I just wanted to be a part of it. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, we talked to a lot of different food concepts, and I feel like it's interesting to not only come up with something unique and straightforward, but something that is healthy but can hit a lot of the needs that people have, right? Like if I just want a snack in the afternoon, or I want a lunch or a dinner, it's flexible, right? In the way you eat certain foods, especially if they're healthy, and you know what I mean? So it's kind of neat.
Yep. Well, our portions are so huge, we usually send people home with leftovers if you're able to stop.
Yeah. I love that. Well, with an Italian background, and you mentioned something about being from Boulder, or at least college, right? So in Colorado, so know all about that. So that's awesome. Glad to see it. So are you from Colorado? Or
no, I'm from San Francisco Bay Area originally.
Oh, okay. All right. Excellent.
I'm in Colorado longer now, though. So, yeah.
All right, cool. Well, we love it here, right? It's beautiful.
Yes, it's beautiful.
So, well, given the situation that we're in, I know you have a great brand, and thank you for sharing that background. Tell us a little bit about what's been happening the last month and a half, right, since this lockdown, and what was your approach, I guess, initially when that happened? What was the executive team's thought process?
Yeah, well, it's crazy times, and we're kind of in our new normal now. But when this all first happened, we saw sales take a huge dive, just like every other restaurant. We were lucky enough that I don't think ours were even as far down as some brands, but we knew we needed to act fast. So we were doing everything we could. Luckily, we're already on with third-party delivery companies, and our app allows for the food to be delivered as well. So a lot of the technology pieces were already put into place. We just had to, bump them way up and add curbside. And in some markets, we've even added a pop-up drive-through in the parking lot. So getting really creative, and our franchisees are awesome too. They're they're coming to the table with ideas too. It's not just us, spitting them out. And then our biggest one recently was basically we wanted to help. We wanted to find a way to pay it forward. And, with everybody home and feeling a little helpless, we really wanted to help feed the healthcare workers and first responders. And so, together we came up with this idea, and it was Michael, our CEO, who really pushed it over the line, saying, you know what, we're going to match. We're going to make this easy for everyone. So basically, a customer, anyone, a company, anyone can purchase a healthcare teriyaki bar. And so they pay half, we're going to match, and then we actually deliver it to the hospital or first responder of their choice. So it's been really amazing. We've fed almost 4,000 healthcare workers and responders so far. The generosity has been incredible to watch. Some customers who either saw us through an email or saw a TV spot. People who've never even been to us thought it was really cool, and some people bought 10 teriyaki bars for a hospital. So it's really amazing, and it's keeping our shops busy. Allows them to keep people employed, and that's really important right now too.
I love that. I mean, I'm totally. I mean, it's this experience over the last, we'll call it 2 months or so, has just been countless stories about it, but that type of story is very unique. I mean, everybody's trying to give, but finding an innovative business model that, I mean, let me ask you this question. Do you see yourself doing these kinds of things into the future? I mean, it kind of,
absolutely.
You know what I mean?
We've been having a lot of discussions about what is the new normal. We feel like we were lucky enough to be ahead of the curve by already having the technology in place. So we're already looking at what's the next big thing. Is voice ordering, voice activated ordering the next piece? What is the next piece? Because curbside's not going away anytime soon. We'll be looking at new real estate, new dining rooms, smaller dining rooms with better curbside options, or even drive-throughs or pickup windows. So the convenience factor that people are now, forced to use, are going to get used to it, and they're going to demand it moving forward. So that's not changing.
That's right. I mean, it's a push and pull between the consumer and the brand. It's like, well, we're going to do this, and then they're going to react, and you'll do this. And then I think a lot of innovation will come from it a year, 2, 3 years from now, just because the new normal, whatever that is, right?
Right.
But it's just so cool, right? That you're doing what you're doing to help healthcare workers, because that you used a really important word, and that is people feeling helpless, right?
Yeah.
How can I do something? How can I do something to help somebody, and who needs the most help right now?
Right.
So that was really cool. What other things are happening in the community just in terms of outreach? Like, how did you deal with the idea that everybody is being told you can't go anywhere, you can't go to any business? How do you communicate that? That let people know what's going on with your brand? What was the thought process there?
So we have a pretty tight group of franchisees. It's I think it's one of the best groups of franchisees I've ever worked with. So we have a daily communication with them. We have our business coaches reaching out to them constantly throughout the week, and our a two-way communication. So like I said, they've been just as much involved in coming up with things like, let's create a family pack, or let's do a discounted item to help a specific group. So that's how we've been communicating mainly with our franchisees. And then on the consumer side, lucky for us, again, social media is our brand voice and personality lends really well to social. We're a little bit irreverent, fun. And so we've always used social media as one of our communication tools. Well, now everybody on earth seems to be on their phones a lot more and sitting home and, flipping through Facebook or Instagram. And so, a really great platform for us to get our message out there, including our email database. So everything is digital right now. And so, talking to people in any way we can to keep the brand top of mind is really key right now.
That's really smart. And, at the end of the day, what I've been experiencing being in your background too, I have a digital marketing background and things. But what an opportunity to say, this is, we need these things, right? We need to do more of these things.
Right.
And this is an example of why, right? Now, hopefully this particular scenario won't occur again, but we don't know. But
right.
Isn't it great that we even have the platforms we have? Like, oh my goodness, right? So it's great.
Yeah.
And we get as digital marketers and folks that have been at the forefront of technology to say, yeah, here we are, we're ready. We can do this. We know what to do. So that's great. So let me ask you this. So as you mentioned franchisees, as you guys move forward, what is sort of the plan in dealing with growth, and how do you see this all playing out from a franchise development side of things?
Yeah, so we are growing quickly, and we were before all this happened. So we have 68 restaurants open right now. We were slated to open about 40 to 45 in 2020. Obviously, that came to a pretty quick halt, once we couldn't get our trainers out to these shops to help them open, and they were having trouble hiring people, and everything kind of went on pause. Well, we've got 2 shops ready to put it into full gear again starting next week. So it is starting to loosen up. It depends on the market. It depends, on the place. But what's happened is we've been able to move along some of the shops who are in the construction process. A lot of those have been able to continue some of the pieces. And so I think we're going to see a pretty big explosion here come June and July once things do start to loosen up. We're going to see that growth once again. We're very sure of it. And the other piece that we've had to do is just pivot on our grand opening plan. Before we were trying to make a huge event to get as many people as possible, creating a huge line out the door on day one. Well, we don't really want lines at the moment. So we're just turning everything digital, different contests and ordering and all kinds of things going online.
So thinking of digital and franchise development, we were speaking with a fitness brand, several fitness brands in one conglomerate, and they're also doing well, talking about, the innovations that they're doing, preparing to continue on. Very bullish too. I feel the same way. I mean, we're both from the industry. We care about franchising. I really believe the change we're going through is pro own a franchise, right?
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of people. So I think that you're right. I hope, I pray that this is all something that will lead to that type of shift, but still growth for all of us, right?
Right.
Change.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? I think more people will be like, maybe it's time to own a business versus go back to get a job, right? That's
right.
But one of the things that this brand was doing that was interesting, and I don't know if you're thinking around these lines, but do you think the need for like a virtual discovery day, or do you think you'll change that, or tell me what your thoughts are there?
Yes. Yeah. We are absolutely talking about that because, before we would have 10 or 12 people in a room for several hours, and that's just probably not going to happen, at least for the next year or so. So we are definitely talking about virtual discovery days, and even, trying to send them to the nearest Teriyaki Madness so they could try the food, or just we can order it and have it delivered to them. So we are looking at all different options on how to keep that going.
Yeah, well, that's cool. And it, obviously, as we just said, the need for digital, being digital is obviously very important right now. And
Yeah.
we don't know how this will change things in the future, but thank God we have these options, right?
Right. I can't imagine if this was 20 years ago.
I know. I think that all the time. I'm like, my goodness, I'm glad it happened now.
Right.
But anyway, so that's great. So shifting back to the community a little bit, the franchisees are obviously a big part of this. What other stories, if any, can you share about just the reach out that is occurring? We had one brand that was talking about how they had extra supplies, right? Mm-hmm. Restaurant, extra supplies, and they were reaching out to folks on Facebook to let them know, hey, local folks, it was a franchisee, local folks, just to let them know they had surpluses of things that might come in handy. Is any of that happening for you guys, or Any other stories that you wanted to share?
Yeah, I mean, we've had, I'd say, thankfully, most of our franchisees have had to lay off very few people because we've been keeping them busy. And so we've had some franchisees go as far as when the dining rooms, are completely shut down for guests, we've had them say, okay, this is a great time to remodel. I'm going to pay my employees to paint my shop. Or fix up the floors or do some work around the shop just to keep them employed, and that goes a long way too for the not just that person but the whole community of one less person on unemployment.
Right.
I've heard lots of great stories like that.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, what can you do, right? You put your employees first, you reach out to the community, and you stay involved, you stay engaged.
Exactly.
So if you were to share one final tip, right, with the audience and maybe some of your colleagues in the marketing field or maybe other business owners that are in similar spaces, right, and have similar communities they're serving, what would be the one thing you might share that you've kind of it's an aha moment or just a tip or tips that would help them in marketing or for their brands to reach out to their communities? What is the one thing or thing that you could share?
I think it would just be resilience, just staying in it every day and thinking, today, what can I do today to help our franchisees make money and get our food in people's mouths? So the healthcare program does that. That's not only, a great way to pay it forward. It feels really good. It's keeping the shop busy. It's keeping people employed. It's also a great marketing piece, right? We're getting a lot of food to people who may never have tried our food before. The response we're getting from these healthcare workers, we're getting pictures sent in and all kinds of things. So I think, having resilience and pushing forward every day of not just living in today, what can I do right now, but what are we going to do tomorrow and the next day and the next day to stay ahead of this.
That's right. That's right. Well, I appreciate that. And one thing that someone shared with us on a previous broadcast was that it was the Entrepreneur magazine editor, and he has a broad view of a lot of companies. And he shared something I just love saying it over and over. But he said, look, you were valuable before all this. Mm-hmm. You have value. You have to change it, but it's still the same value. And that's what you guys did, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you brought value to the healthcare workers, value to the community. People have a chance to give. It's an opportunity for everyone in that mix, right? But you had the inner workings. You just had to change them a little.
Yeah, just had to crank it up.
That's right. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Jodi.
Thank you, Rob. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us. And so again, thanks to the audience for listening, for joining us here on Franchise Marketing Radio. Thanks again, Jodi. Is there any final message that you wanted to share or any one last thing before we sign off?
I don't know. We're all in this together. So I really do think we're going to come out of this okay and probably be much stronger because of it.
All right. I appreciate it. Thank you, Jodi.
All right. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.